Although another long off-season is upon our Green Bay Packers, we did have some wild things from the game in Frisco to talk about with you, so we shall. It's all next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Welcome, Packers faithful. I'm Scott Clark from the Gaming Outsider Podcast, and I'm so glad you joined us for the final episode of the regular season. Am I disappointed? Sure, but not nearly as disappointed as I am proud of this team that surpassed our and everyone's expectations for this first rebuilding year. I would have absolutely loved to see Green Bay get to the NFC Championship game, but I'm more than satisfied with this year's progress, and I have such high hopes for next year. I hope you all feel the same way.
And I'm Wayne Henderson, and just as Vince Lombardi said, we didn't lose the game, we just ran out of time. Yep, this one's going to hurt for a while. It's episode 295 of the Packers Fan Podcast. This time around, we're going to have the highs and lows from that game between the Packers and the Niners.
We're also having a ton of insightful listener feedback to wrap up this 13th season of the PFP, and we're going to kick things off right away with highlights from the Packers' loss to San Francisco. Kicking off things with the leaders in the Niners game. First off, on the passing, Jordan Love, 21 for 34 for 194 yards, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. Rushing side, Aaron Jones had 18 carries for 108 yards. On the receiving end, Romeo Doubs, 4 receptions for 83 yards. And on defense, Quay Walker had 9 tackles, 5 of which were solo, and he also had 1 tackle for a loss. So that was really good to see. There's lots of good things that happened in this game. Was not happy with the ending, but man, what a showing! They really put things forth. And right off the bat, we won the coin toss and decided to receive. I love that this is the mindset going forward. I feel like this is a new beginning for Green Bay this season. I feel like we were always deferring, and I love that we want to strike first. And that's exactly what we did. That opening offensive drive had to settle for a field goal, but drew first blood, which is always great. And then the opening defensive drive, they were able to sack Purdy to force a punt. So things started out pretty great. I was not unhappy at all there. And even that, we talked about the coin toss. They go into the second half and force them to punt on that first drive as well too. So it really felt like the momentum was going in our way, and it was really good to see.
Yeah, especially around the first third of the game, we had all of the ownership of the clock, but that's just one of those things. For me, it was a pleasure to again see Jordan Love doing such a great job spreading the ball around to just about everyone. I mean, Kraft, Dobbs, Jones, the rest of the gang. And speaking of Jones, props, Aaron Jones. On one drive, we were starting from around the 10-yard line, and Jonesy had one of his best runs of the entire year. What a way to gain a ton of yards, get us all the way down to, I think it was the 49ers' 37-yard line. And I was pumped up at this point, Scott.
Oh, man. Well, and I got to be honest with you, man, here. I did not watch the game live. As I mentioned last week, or did I mention it last week?
You did.
My wife bought me concert tickets for Christmas, and I was in Milwaukee. The concert started at 7. The game started at 7:20 or 7:30, something like that. So I'm sitting in this crowd with no signal, man. I had absolutely no signal to be able to check the game. They had the game on up at the bar, but I was not going to lose my spot. I was at the very front row of this concert. I was really excited to be there. Yeah. I'm a little sore. It was a metal concert, so having to deal with all those crowd surfers and getting kicked in the head and all that kind of good stuff.
Right. Like you do.
But it was definitely worth it. But it was excruciating not having a signal, because the venue that I was at was kind of like in the not the basement, but like the lower level of this massive venue. And my carrier just decided that there was not going to be a signal there. So I kept asking people around me to check the score. At one point in between sets, a guy that was on the rail had the game on his phone. So I was trying to peek over and just see what I could from there, but that was kind of a lost cause. The venue was in Wisconsin. It was in Milwaukee. So I expected to see lots of Packers jerseys, but I only saw like 3 or 4. But still, I was able to.
You know why? Because they were at home watching the game.
Yeah, I know.
I'm surprised, since it was in Milwaukee, I'm kind of surprised that on the screen up behind the band, they didn't at least put it on the lower third or something.
I kind of figured that the band wouldn't have appreciated that, but who knows? I was able to tell some of the people sitting around me about the show. One guy actually pulled it up on his phone and said, "Is this you?" And I was like, "Yes, it is." So if you're listening, man, it was awesome to it was awesome to mosh with you and hop around. We had a pretty good time. So it was awesome. But anyway, so I watched this game in recap form. So I did not see every single play. I saw like the condensed where they do it in like 15 or 20 minutes. So I saw all the major plays. But that Jones run was incredible because first off, he broke through, headed for the sideline, and I thought he was gone. I really thought he was going to make it, but one of the defenders cut him off. But he spun around and then came back toward the middle. I thought he was going to cut through again. I was like, Jones has got the moves, man. I was really happy with that. So it was a very cool play. Also, Bo Melton certainly is making a name for himself in the playoffs. He somehow wound up wide open in the third quarter to give the Packers their second lead. I feel like I didn't hear that guy's name all season. Wasn't he like from the practice squad or something like that and came in? And I know he's a free agent now, but I hope they keep him around because he's definitely. I mean, I don't want to get rid of any of these receivers, man. Like, I feel like he's got so many targets, and I'm so excited about the possibilities of the running game and the passing game. So that was really, really cool.
And this game was the epitome of woulda, coulda, and shoulda on offense and defense. I mean, for me, the victory was there for us. We just needed to take it. And, we did go further than most people imagined we would. But the NFC North, in fact, maybe even the rest of the NFL are now on notice that the Pack is back because with this young team, Scott, imagine how much more rapport and unity they might have next season, having extra time together because all those rookies will be second-year players. The second-year players will be third-year veterans. I can't wait.
I'm absolutely in agreement. The one thing I'm curious how you feel about it, because I was talking to my wife about this, is we were watching the Chiefs-Bills game last night, and she was just really loving to see the quarterbacks on both sides just get so excited and, a lot of emotion involved in all these plays. And she's like, I wish Jordan Love would do that. And I don't know where I land because I'm kind of digging his stoic nature, because I would rather have that than him be yelling at players and blaming other people. And he does get excited, but I just feel like they don't show it nearly as much as they, as they've done with like remember when Favre would, the infamous taking his helmet off and holding it by the front of it and running down, that kind of stuff is just like iconic. I love that kind of stuff, but I love where his head's at. He's taking this so seriously. He's getting excited, just not as excited as everybody would like him to be, I think.
I mean, that's a good point. It's a fine line between excited and then being out there out of control, yelling at all the players. Mm-hmm. I wonder if part of it, even though this was his third year, it's only his first year starting. So I wonder if he's like, I'm just another one of the guys, at least for now, maybe even for all of next season. He's just going to be in there. And who knows? Maybe there's no reason for him to, scorn any other players that make mistakes because they're all on the same page. But he was a little more excited after the victory against the Cowboys. So maybe that alone is something that we're just going to see grow next season.
Yeah. And like I said, I want to see the camaraderie built back up. I feel like when Green Bay was the hottest was when you could tell that the locker room was a positive place to be.
Yes.
Remember Clay Matthews goofing around whenever Aaron Rodgers was being interviewed. And I'm not saying I want him to go to that level. I would rather him be more serious than goofy if it's going to affect anything. But if it affects it positively, that stuff is only going to grow as this team gels, and I can't wait to see what happens. Also got to give kudos to the play calling of this game. I thought it was really, really well done. I guess I'm still confused as to whether the offensive coordinator or Matt LaFleur is making those calls. I get the impression it's LaFleur. It seems more and more obvious, but I thought they did a really good job of making the right calls at the right times in this game.
For the most part, I'll agree for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, that gorgeous kickoff return by Keyshawn Nixon. Man, I thought he was going, beelining for that sideline. Got a little scary for a second when he fumbled it. Thankfully, the Pack was able to land on it, and that led to a touchdown catch by Tucker Kraft, capped by a 2-point conversion pass to Jones, who was wide open over on the right-hand side. But unfortunately, this would be the last time that Green Bay scores this season. So it was glorious to see. Obviously, didn't know that was going to be the last score, but that was the last score of this season.
Oh, one more. We could have had one more. That was
we
good.
Could have had a lot more than one more.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's talk a little bit about the lowlights, get them out of the way before the listener feedback. The old blue tent there on the sidelines was certainly getting a workout during the game, especially on the Packers side. Devontae Wyatt got hurt a bit. Quay Walker was cramping. Tucker Kraft. Wicks got banged up. Zach Tom got hurt as well. His might be the most serious. And Jair Alexander might have re-aggravated his injury as well. It's the last game of the season. We didn't know it would be at the time, but I still don't want the guys hurt.
Absolutely. You never want them hurt, but on the bright side, they've got plenty of time to heal up and get on the mend for next season. So that's definitely is there. And we got to talk about the elephant in the room, which is Anders Carlson. And to be clear, I almost regretted bringing this up on this episode because I am not saying that Anders Carlson is the reason we lost this week. There was plenty of other reasons that we gave up this game. I don't even want to say we lost this game. I know obviously we did, but we gave up this game, and it was not the only reason. But I've been saying for weeks, with the misses that he's had, most of those didn't matter. They weren't game decisions, or we didn't lose by just the 3 points or whatever. It's hard to not say that this one didn't matter though, because that one hurt. That one hurt a lot. It would have given a little cushion, and obviously it would have been enough to tie the game. But again, shoulda, coulda, woulda. San Francisco also missed one, so anything could have happened. But I'm really questioning what's going to happen with him next season. I think I saw a tweet or something, or a tweet of a quote from LaFleur that says, "Whenever Carlson goes out there, he just prays." That's not a good way to think about your kicker, that you're just like crossing your fingers and toes and praying, whenever your kicker goes out there. So I'm really interested to see what Green Bay does in the kicking side next season.
But didn't we suspect that Matt LaFleur was thinking the same exact thing the last season or two with Mason Crosby?
Yes.
Or was it just us fans that were praying every time we went out there to kick?
It might have been us. I mean, Crosby had like a dry spell there for a while, right? But he was very consistent for the most part. Overall, he was a consistent kicker. He just had some moments, and I never really lost faith in Mason Crosby. He didn't miss 5 PATs in a season, so and who knows? This guy's a rookie. It's his first year. He's going to have some experience out there. Hopefully, he's not beating himself up and blaming himself. I kind of imagine he would be, but I just really kind of expect Green Bay to make some decisions regarding him that are not going to be in his favor, but who knows?
I definitely don't want him to get too down on himself. It's probably hard when you're the kicker because everybody says, you had one job, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And hopefully, and I'm sure he's been in touch with his brother to try to help him out. And they can also commiserate with the kicker from the Buffalo Bills, who's got to be feeling terrible. But you can't rely on your kicker, especially Buffalo. There's 50-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah, go kick us the game winner. It was ridiculous. And I don't know the progress rate of kickers compared to wide receivers and quarterbacks.
Sure. Do
you think he may make a huge leap forward in year 2?
I mean, I only really follow kickers for Green Bay because, I know some of the names, but I don't follow their career nearly as closely as Green Bay. And we've had Mason for so long, up until this. So I don't really, we haven't had to really pay attention. So I don't really know. That's a huge ignorant spot in my NFL knowledge is how kickers' career paths go. So maybe that's something that we're going to be a little more educated on here in the coming season,
whether we like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was overall just a tough way to end the season when you combine a few mistakes on offense and defense, along with a lot of substandard refereeing. It's hard to win the game. Didn't call the delay of game on the Niners touchdown play. It was egregious. They were way past zero on that one. And no face masking penalty flag call for Frisco, getting an obvious face mask penalty against Aaron Jones's helmet, practically twisted his neck. In fact, I think he was having a little bit of a neck issue for a little bit. That one was obvious and should have been thrown. And the refs giving us a couple of terrible ball spots on a couple of critical occasions. One we challenged and got overturned. The other we didn't even challenge, but just settled for a field goal. I was hoping we would have, gone for it, but alas, no.
Yeah, because can't you only do two? Even if you win them, can't you only do two in a half or something like that?
Something like that. But I would have wanted us to have won both of those, whether they were the only challenges we got.
And again, me not watching this game live, as soon as the game was over, I knew we lost. I knew the score was done, but I still wanted to catch up highlights and stuff. And I went immediately to Twitter, and like the first 4 comments were complaints about the refs. So I knew you were going to bring this up on this. The face mask penalty, yes. I don't remember how critical. I didn't see how critical that one was because that wasn't in the highlights I saw. Was that a critical play?
I thought it was. And I don't like to be the guy that talks about the refs a lot, but this time it was pretty egregious in this game as well as in the Buffalo Bills game. But I mostly care about our game.
I watched the clock violation like you were talking about, and it was close. I've heard some of the announcers give a description of that it's not like right when it hits zero, which I don't understand that. If it hits zero and the center hasn't hike the ball, that to me that's a delay of game. But and I've heard announcers say that they give them like an extra beat.
Oh yeah,
after the clock hits zero.
And I totally understand that, but this was more than a beat.
You think so? I don't know, man.
I think it was more than a beat. And maybe it's due to my heart was not beating at that moment either.
Probably. I think the one that was interesting, I couldn't get a close look at it, was when Jordan Love did a quarterback sneak on 4th down. That one. That looked like he got it, but I could not see a replay to see how they called it. So is that one of the ones that he called a flag on?
I'm not 100% sure now. It's all a blur now that the season's over. But
right.
I do think that there wasn't a really good angle on that one to make a definitive choice.
I will say also that how did Nixon miss that pick in the third quarter? There was one that it looked like it was practically thrown to him. Like it wasn't anywhere near the receiver. Again, the angle that I was watching it maybe it was a much further off, but it looked like as soon as it was thrown, I was like, "That's being picked. That is going to be an interception." And I was so disappointed that it wasn't, because that would have been huge. But yeah, that was my last low light.
Yeah, one of those things.
Yeah, I suppose we should talk about the free agents though as well. Because it's way too early to be really picking this apart. Maybe this is something that we'll do in an off-season episode at some point. But this list of Packers free agents is kind of scary. I do not want to lose a lot of these players. So if you'll indulge me, Wayne, I'm going to read through them really quickly.
Okay.
Tyler Davis, Josiah DeGuara, A.J. Dillon is a free agent. Rudy Ford, Josh Nijman, Keyshawn Nixon, Jonathan Owens, John Runyon, Darnell Savage, Eric Wilson, Zane Anderson, Caleb Jones, Bo Melton, Benny Sapp III, Robert Rochelle, Patrick Taylor, and Daniel Whalen. There's a lot of names on there that I would really hope stick around for next season. So, that office has got a lot of work to do to keep some of these players.
I am totally surprised by some of the players' names that are on there. I had no idea that Daniel Whalen would have been in this situation. It just seems like he just arrived. And, of course...
great punter.
Excellent punter. I do not want A.J. Dillon to leave. I need him to be on the green and gold. He's such a great, him and Aaron Jones both, they are just great for the Packers, for the community. Find a way to keep him, please, please, please. Bo Melton, you talked about him earlier. It's amazing to think that he may already have opportunities to go elsewhere. Josh Nijman, that's another one. Because... when Bakhtiari went down, I really thought we were going to have a really hard time and have to just wing it. But I got to give much kudos to the offensive line this year for basically doing a stellar job protecting Jordan Love, even without David Bakhtiari. It was amazing.
Absolutely amazing. It's going to be an interesting offseason for sure. I don't really know where the salary situation or what the salary situation is in Green Bay. I know we were still paying for Aaron Rodgers. How long does that last? Is it still going for more of his contract? I don't remember, but hopefully they can get some more. Hopefully that's done so they can have some more available funds to pay some of these guys.
And I don't have the numbers because that's further down the line. But from what I've heard, I understand that we're in a really good spot financially this time.
All right. Let's do it.
Let's make something happen. So let's check in with our poll question one last time with feeling until April or May. We post this in the Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com as well as on Twitter X at Packers Fan Pod. Packers fans, at this point, are you now rooting for our fellow NFC North Detroit Lions to win it all? Easy peasy, yes or no?
Absolutely, man. I'm shocked that this is so split. I understand that they're a division rival. The Lions have never won a Super Bowl, correct?
Correct. They've never been in a Super Bowl.
I mean, it's difficult for me to not root for the Lions, especially because they're playing San Francisco. Like that to me, that is the biggest no-brainer. But even outside of that, they're due, man, and they've done such a great job. And even growing up, I've never been a big hater of the Lions. It's always been the bigger contention between Chicago and Minnesota. Sure, I want them to lose when they're playing us or when it matters for us, but I would really like to see that happen. I mean, just seeing some of the. You know how they do the little videos and stuff before the games about like this is the first time they've won at Ford Field, and this could be the year. That just seems like a really cool thing to be able to see in the NFL. So I'm absolutely rooting for Detroit. How about you?
I also am rooting for the Detroit Lions, which is surprising to even say, but as it's phrased in the question, at this point. So yeah, definitely rooting for the Lions to please somehow beat Frisco and then go win the Super Bowl. And like you said, division rival, but it's not the Bears or Vikings. And the funniest part of it would be, the Detroit Lions, they're due. So let them win a Super Bowl. The Vikings have been 4 times and haven't even managed to win one. And the Lions finally get to go and they can win one. And that will leave the Minnesota Vikings with the only team in our division without a Super Bowl trophy. And just some sweet victory to that.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't have any ill will towards the Vikings, the Lions. Man, even as a kid, I was supposed to cheer against the Lions, but Barry Sanders was so much fun to watch back in the day. I know he's not there, but if they make it to the Super Bowl, I have a hard time believing he's not going to be at that game.
Yeah, and I agree. And with some of the other teams that I would kind of like to see go to and potentially win, they're out, like Baker Mayfield and the Bucks, they're out. Buffalo Bills are out. So, yeah, Detroit Lions. And after combining all of the votes from Twitter as well as Facebook, and like you said, it was 2 different worlds. So you average them out and you get 57% of y'all saying, yes, you'll root for the Lions, 43% saying no.
Yeah. And some of the comments, man, holy cow.
Well, let's dig into some of them.
We had some comments on the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook group. First off, Jared in Colorado says, I truly don't know. LOL. I know what you're saying, man, but I mean, of the teams that are left, I don't want to see Kansas City go. I don't want to see San Francisco go. Baltimore.
Yeah.
Okay. Lamar Jackson's fun to watch, but I just don't have a whole lot of love for that team. Detroit seems like the clear winner in terms of ones I'd like to see win. Out of the 4. So there you have it.
And Bill Gardner said, I wanted to say yes, but a guy at work would be unbearable if the Lions win.
I get that. Gary Arndt says, chose no and added that he's rooting for the Bills.
And this, of course, was before last night.
Right.
So you can change your vote, Gary. And on Twitter X, Royal X Storm said, anybody voting yes should never wear a Packers jersey again. And that's pretty tame compared to a lot of the other comments on X, where even the votes that were pretty much, they were 50-50, the commenters were against rooting for any of our division rivals, even the Lions.
I don't get that. I really don't. I don't know if I would root for Chicago. I really don't. That's a tough one for me to swallow. But like I said, I don't have a ton of hatred for Detroit, so it is what it is. But people got their feelings, and they're allowed to have their opinions on anything that they want.
True that.
Well, that's what we thought about the game. Let's see what the listeners thought. You guys sounded off as always, and we'd love to let your voice be heard. We don't have a upcoming episode very soon, but obviously when things kick in the off season, we'll be asking for you. And when you do, you can always record your voice in your phone or computer and email the recording to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com or by calling the PFP voicemail at +1 920 3PACK-GO. And that's what all these people did.
Absolutely. In fact, if you still want to send in a message to us, we'll listen to it. That's okay. So let's start it off. We've got a voice we have not heard for a long time. Are you ready? I'll take that as a yes.
Go, Pack, go! Go, Pack, go! Sorry, my voice is still not as strong as it used to be. Andre in LA. It's been a very, very, very long time since I've called. First and foremost, thank you for Wayne for reaching out to me, and I'm doing much better. And thank you for Jay Walters for mentioning me in last week's episode. I listen every week, still catch every game. Just been, crazy last 13 months, but with the grace of God, I've maintained and pulled through. Bummer of a way to end the season. The positive way to look at it is, this was supposed to be our rebuild year, and we almost made it to the NFC Championship. We really kind of gave it away in the fourth quarter, gave up 10 points and couldn't score. The defense just got worn down, but I really like what I saw from this team. The defense this year is great. I've said it, since he first came to the team, Matt LaFleur, boy, is he a blessing that we did not expect. I think Jordan Love, I really like what I saw from him, his poise. Yeah, that was one of the worst decisions to throw that late interception, pretty much seal the game. But, this is his first real year with a lot of minutes, and, you learn from experience. You could have just thrown it away, but I digress. Aaron Jones, what a great year. That O-line, really, really good game. You earned your money today, despite it all. Very thankful, very excited for what I saw from them. Really looking forward to next year. A lot of good young receivers, a lot of missed opportunities. We need to make a decision with our kicking game. It seems like the past couple of years has really hurt us. Man, that missed field goal. Don't get me started. But I'm thankful. I just want to call and, show my support. I know it's going to be a lot of people bummed. Hey, Meg, shout out to you. But just still love you guys. Andre in LA. Go, Pack, go! Go, Pack, go! Andre in LA. Sorry, my voice still isn't back yet.
Andre, it's so good to hear from you, man. It's been too long. So glad to hear your voice, man. And as Go Pack goes, don't worry. I love how you had to clear his throat before he did it. He knew what was coming, but that was great. He made good points, kind of thing what we've been saying, even going into the playoffs, that we thought this is going to be a rebuild season, and we almost got there, man. Like nobody expected us to even get a wild card, much less get this close to the NFC Championship. So it's nice to hear some positive things about LaFleur too, because they've been mixed to middling this season. Sure, he's made some questionable decisions about, the future of our defensive coordinator, but I digress. So we'll see what happens. But I was pretty happy with what he did in this game.
Indeed. And Andre, so good to hear your voice again. Glad you've been listening and you're feeling a lot better lately. Here's to next season, and hope you have a great off season while we, quote unquote, patiently wait for the schedule release, the draft, training, mini camp, and all that good stuff.
Go, 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 go. Go, Pack, go. Oh, I don't even know what to say. I know we were playing with house money, but we had that in the bag. We were the better team last night. I promise this voice recording is going to get a lot more positive, but I just have to get this out right now. God, that hurt. That game hurt so bad. Oh, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm going to have to splice a couple of these together. Thankfully, this isn't back in the day, back when Wayne started first probably doing voice recordings when he actually had to splice tape together. But wow, we had that in the bag, and I think the youth just showed its face because they just couldn't put it together and put it in the end zone. I'll be back. Okay, so normally I use notes to remember what happened and to keep myself on point and to not just go off on a tangent. I'm not going to talk too much about the game because we know what happened, and I'm sure all of the listeners are going to have amazing feedback. Oh my God, I am so looking forward to next season. Oh, we took the number 1 seed all the way to the very end, the very last drive, and there were so many missed opportunities in that game. The Anders Carlson missed field goal. The 2 interceptions that should have been interceptions. Keyshawn Nixon dropped one. That probably would have been a pick 6. The Darnell Savage almost interception. The horrible spot on Aaron Jones's run in the first half. Then the horrible spot on Love's quarterback sneak when you could see from the overhead cam that he was clearly over the line. And I don't know why Matt LaFleur didn't challenge that, but it is what it is. And like we keep on saying, we were playing with house money. I was hurt, like sad and all that stuff, but all we got to do is look forward to the future, and I can't wait to see what happens next season. We have 11 draft picks coming up. 11. I think that the Packers and one other team have 11 picks. That's the most picks of any team in the NFL. So, potentially they could trade a couple of those picks away and maybe move up in the draft because we're at, I think I saw we're at pick number 25 officially now in the draft in the first round. Plus we got that second round pick that we got for the trade for Aaron Rodgers. We are going to be think about how young this team is. Think about how much draft capital we have. I just can't wait to see what happens next season. If this is... if this is what we did this season with this team, and largely nobody's going anywhere, I mean, think of Bakhtiari's coming back because they financially they can't get rid of him because he's just it could cost too much money. If he comes back and plays at a high level and gives that veteran leadership role, I just think the sky is the limit for him, and the offensive line protecting their biggest asset in Jordan Love. I am just so excited for this next season. Like I said, I didn't want to talk about the game last night because we already know what happened. But man, I just can't wait for next season. We say waiting all day for Sunday night. Shoot, now we have 6 months to wait for the next season. But we have the combine coming up. We got the draft coming up in Detroit. Fortunately for me, the combine's right in my backyard in Indianapolis, and the draft this year is happening in Detroit. That's only a 5-hour drive for me. I think I might be going to both of those. I'm just so excited just to experience this next year, this next season with all the amazing talent we have on this team. We have the Detroit Lions and Minnesota. They're both playing overseas next year. I'm not sure if they're playing in Germany or London, but since those are home games for those teams, it's that I could see with how the Packers played this year and how popular they are overseas after I experienced that in London, a couple years ago, going against the Giants. I would not be shocked if the Packers play the Lions or the Vikings over in either Germany or in London next year. So I might need to start saving my pennies because I would really love to go overseas again to see a game in another country and see the other fans and how they support the Packers or the NFL in general. Anyways, I've gone on long enough. I really want to thank all the listeners, the feedback, and the just the community feel that this group has. David, Megan, Caleb, Aaron, Tyler, Dictus, Brett, Miguel, Colm, Jacob, Garrett, Scott Bors, Jared, Michnikir. Like, you guys are all awesome. I love you guys. And Scott and Wayne, thank you for providing us a platform to express our fandom. You guys are the true rock stars here. And I just got one thing left to say. Go, 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 Pack, go!
What? Oh, is that a new record? I think that's a new record. Holy crap. Dan, that was so good. Thank you so much for your voice message, all your heartfelt thoughts. So good. And Dan did send in a PS saying, I was wrong about the teams playing overseas. It's actually the Bears, Vikings, and Jaguars, not the Lions. And he wouldn't be surprised if we play the Bears overseas.
Could you imagine?
Bears week overseas? Could add a whole new twist to it.
That would be crazy because I feel like all those games never feel like super important ones or rivalry matchups. That would be pretty cool though. I would consider that, man. I've been trying. My wife and I have been talking about visiting Europe. She wants to do a cruise, so that probably wouldn't work if we do that. But man, going over there to see a game would be pretty sweet. I've always wanted to visit London.
Yes, that would be epic. And I agree, Dan. We were the better team this week. I don't think the Niners won that game. We lost the game, and those questionable calls by the refs just added to it. We had it in the bag. And Dan, let me spin you a yarn, as Scott likes to say, about cutting audio tape and splicing it together with little pieces of tape. It would have taken me 4 days to edit a podcast episode back in the day. Thankful for everything digital. And, it's only about 232 days until next season. So get ready. The future is bright, Scott.
232 days. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of the season first before I put up the number of days remaining calendar thing up on my wall.
You do you, Scott.
Yeah. I did not realize we had 11 draft picks. That's cool. That's kind of crazy. I feel like I'm going to be paying a lot more close attention to the draft this year than I usually do. I got a good buddy, a listener of my other podcast. His name is Matt. That always keeps me apprised of everything college football because I know nothing about college football. Or my buddy Kevin, the producer of my podcast. I guess he's a big Ohio State guy, but maybe I can get some insight from those guys and actually it'd be cool to see what happens. So
nice. And since it is only a 5-hour drive to get to Detroit, I didn't realize that David Bakhtiari might be coming back next season, and we can't really let him go.
Well, I mean, we've paid him so much money. Like, what would be the point of, unless somebody bought out his contract, I guess. But who's going to do that if he's so often hurt? You know what I mean? Like what is it? A sunk cost bias? Yeah, pretty much.
Stuck with it at that point. Oh my goodness.
Well, thanks for the comments, though, Dan. I really do appreciate it. It was some very kind words at the end of your voicemail. And, right before the ear-splitting Go Pack Go, which was awesome to hear. But thanks so much, man. This has been a fun ride. What is this, my 4th season with you, Wayne, I think?
I lose track. It's all a blur of green and gold and rose-colored glasses and talking like a fan. And, one of these days we'll get to the old Culver's, and I'll bring my Henderson jersey and get a Butterburger and custard.
We said this last season at the end of the season, man, that we needed to get you out here for a game. We got to somehow make that happen. You, me, our wives. I got a place for you to crash up here.
Where at?
In good old Rockford. And then we can just go up to the game together. It's only about 3.5 hours. It's not a bad drive at all. It would just be awesome to go to a game with you, man. I'm sure if you came up here, we get a lot of listeners that go to the game with us. They don't want to see me. They want to see you.
Oh, come on, Scott. Come on. It's a teamwork. Let's go back to the listener voicemail and see who gave us a call at +1 920 3-PACK-GO.
Hey, Wayne, Scott. This is David out in Texas. That's a tough loss. Game in hand, and just kind of gave it away. Jordan Love, didn't play to what he was playing to, and unfortunately made a bad mistake at the end of that game too. But that defense, Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson wanted to talk about, Brock Purdy and how this Green Bay defense played well against San Francisco's offense. And I think that's actually totally BS, especially in the second half. Because if you watch that game, they had a lot of open receivers. Brock Purdy just missed them. Elements, whatever, doesn't matter. Green Bay's defense played soft zone, did not bring pressure when they had opportunities to, and it killed them. And unfortunately, I think we're going to get at least another year or however long of Joe Barry and playing this stupid defense. And just because they won a playoff game, made it into the playoffs after two decent defensive performances, and made it into the playoffs. Really took care of the Cowboys, played good defense that game up until pretty much garbage time, and then I don't think they played really good defense, at least in the second half of this game. And it's disappointing. That game, if they had won, and that game was in Detroit, I think my dad and I would have made that game. It's a championship game, so that kind of hurts, but I got to say, I'm proud of this team. I thought they were going to go 6 or 7 wins. They not only surpassed that, they ended up making the playoffs. They ended up beating Dallas. They were a 10.5-point underdog against San Francisco, and they really should have beaten them. It's unfortunate that it ends this way, but I have to be excited for that future, at least on the offensive side. Defense, I don't know, but hopefully the right decisions get made. See some people back like Aaron Jones, who absolutely deserves to come back. And then, so we'll see what this offseason looks like, and win or lose.
All right. I think we got his voicemail cut off a little bit there. Win or lose, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. Win or lose, it was a great season. I'll finish it off.
That's exactly what David was going to say.
Yeah. I feel like David has been one of the bigger champions of getting rid of Joe Barry. I think that's where I heard the term soft zone these last few weeks more than anybody else. So it's very frustrating to see, because they could have had this game. They had this game.
Yes.
But it's good to see that he's still just as proud of this team as we are. He mentioned he only thought we'd had 6 or 7 wins. I think you and I predicted 12. You predicted 17, right?
I did not. I wanted to, and I was hoping for 17. This was the first season in a long time where I didn't say, I don't see any reason why we can't win them all. I think.
But go back
amazing.
To his point that we were 10.5 points underdogs.
Amazing. Everybody was, even Packers fans were like, we're going to get slaughtered out there.
Yeah. I mean, they covered the spread and then some. It's just, It's hard to be that upset. Yes, I wanted them to go to the NFC Championship. I wanted them so badly to beat San Francisco, but I knew going into this game that I was not going to be upset either way, and I'm not. I'm bummed, but I'm not angry like I have been in the past when it was so close, because I just know that the future is so bright for this team. And I think David does too.
That's a good way to look at it, in that we're not that team anymore where the window's closing. If we don't win it all this year, it's over. And no, the window hasn't even cracked open just yet. So just you wait.
Wayne Scott, Art here from Texas. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I went to a Sweet 16. There was no way I was going to get out of that one. But I kind of snuck my phone in there and I was kind of like taking glances at the game underneath the table. But for the most part, I didn't watch it. But oh my gosh, from what my cousin tells me, oh man, it's so heartbreaking. It's like so many points were left on the field. 2 missed field goals. I can't believe the refs did not give us a first down on that drive that ended like at the 25. That was pathetic. That was a first down. Anyways, my cousin told me that the last drive, Jordan didn't make very wise decisions, but it comes with the inexperience. What do you do? It's just, oh man, it's just things when you know you should have won the game and you could have won the game and you had the game, and it just slipped away. That's what irks me the most. When you know you could have had it and should have had it but didn't, as opposed to losing soundly. Maybe not so bad, but just kind of soundly, Oh, man. But you know what? All in all, it was a great year. Man, outstanding. Awesome year. Awesome. And I'm just looking forward to next year. Excited because I know hopefully we'll take this mindset of unfinished business. Like yes, we're gonna come back strong with our new draft class, at least 1 year of experience under our belt. At least the guys know more or less what it's like now, and hopefully they come back hungrier. Bittersweet loss, for the aforementioned reasons, but oh well, it was a great season. I can't think of anything else to say right now. I didn't watch most of the game, but go Pack, go green and gold till I'm getting cold, and we'll be back next year. And guys, thanks again for yet another year of your great podcast. Thank you so much to both of you, and hopefully the off season will go quick. And looking forward to talking to everybody and hearing to all the listener feedback and you all's point of views and everything. All righty, guys. Go Pack, go. Green gold till I'm then gold.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Art. Got the metronome going. It's Talk Like a Fan. Wait, Scott, you're the singer on that one. Art,
I think it was his turn signal, but
not a metronome. Well, anyways, Art, it was great that you were able to have a cell signal where you were at on Saturday night so you could check in on the game. And yeah, the points left out on the field and the final drive did kind of show a little bit of our inexperience or just the pressure. Who knows what was behind some of those decisions. But I love the phrase that the team can adopt for next season: unfinished business.
Yes, that's a great way. That should just be the title, like the motto for next season: unfinished business. I love that. That's really great. By the way, also, I just got to say, I want to meet Art in person. He just seems like the nicest dude. I just want to have a beer with him and watch a game.
You almost did.
I almost did. We were real close, but couldn't make it happen. It's just those flights are so expensive that close to the time.
That's for sure. And Art, thank you so much for the kind words. We appreciate it.
Hey, Wayne and Scott, it's Jared in Colorado. It is Sunday, the 21st day of January, in the year of our cheese, 2024. sipping on my morning coffee in my Green Bay Packers mug. You probably just heard my baby squeals of happiness. Just mulling over last night's loss. And starting out, I've got to say, this is the least heartbroken and upset that I've been after a Packers loss, Packers playoff loss in years and years, probably ever. And it just goes back to what has been said already. Packers are playing on house money. I mean, the fact that they made the playoffs was amazing. So everything afterwards was just, icing on the cake. It does sting a little bit more than I thought I would. I will say that. I think the biggest thing is just because we had him, man. We Packers had him. It was close. They kept it close, but there was just so many moments in that game. And I would say, like, a good majority of that game, the Packers were the better team on the field. But at the end of the day, the devil's in the details when it comes to playoff football. And unfortunately, it was those small details the small details throughout the whole team that ultimately cost us. The thing is, Jordan Love, you can't be throwing picks like that, man. Especially that last one of the game-winning drive, that heartbreaker. I mean, that was exactly the types of interceptions that he was throwing during that tough month where we were questioning whether he was the guy. Now, obviously, it's going to take some time to truly ring all those out. But I think he will, especially after this. Yeah, you can't be throwing those picks. And another big thing is, what are the big differences with the defense? The 49ers defense, they caught those picks. Our defense didn't. There were 3 very, very catchable interceptions. I think 2 of them hit the hands of our defenders. One of them was on Darnell Savage's chest. I mean, you got to make those catches, man. It'd be a very different outcome if our defense makes those catches. And of course, Anders Carlson, dude, we've been talking about it for weeks, and unfortunately, even stripping away all the other details that they just they let slip through their hands. If all those things could have happened, and if Anders Carlson makes that kick, we're talking about a tie game going into overtime, and it's a totally different ball game. So, so that's what it boils down to. So it's just. Overall, the team played great. It was just a fourth quarter. I don't want to call it a collapse, but just, fourth quarter, man, it really just, that's really where they kind of needed to really tighten things up, and they didn't get it done. But ultimately, though, Aaron Jones, my goodness, he had another 100-yard game. Jordan Love, minus those 2 picks, he played a great game. He played a great game against this really, really tough defense, especially that third quarter. That third quarter was a shootout, man. That was a really exciting game. The offense was really clicking there for a second, even in the first half. And again, this is where the details matter. Like, they were moving the ball at will. They just could not find the end zone. You can't be settling for field goals in a playoff game, especially against the number 1 seed. So, but hey, at the end of the day, what a freaking season, man. I texted this to a friend of mine, last night, and I want to read it to you guys. I said, I tell you what, I'm effing pumped. This Packers team had no business being in the playoffs, no business dismantling the Cowboys, and no business making the number 1 seeded 49ers collective butts pucker like they did last night. All these guys are on rookie contracts, and we have a ton of dead cap coming off the balance sheet next season to go after free agents. You want to talk about a high ceiling? This is it. If the Packers want, I think they can have a all in mentality next season without having to truly go all in. Because you have so much of this team with amazing talent and amazing ceilings with high floors on rookie contracts. So you can look at the holes we have on this team and spend big money to go after high quality veterans to plug those holes and still have some money left over to where you're not going all in and risking having to go into a rebuild. The Packers are in such a awesome spot. There is No way a team as young as the Packers, as low seeded as the Packers were in the playoffs, there was no business for them to be this good, and they were. Like, and I think that ultimately that is why, this playoff loss. Although obviously you want to see your team win, but man, what they did to the Cowboys and what they did to the 49ers. I mean, this team played better against the 49ers than any Aaron Rodgers-led playoff team against the 49ers did in the past. It was awesome. I can go on, but that's where I'm hanging my hat on this season. So I'm just so excited because there's so much room for growth and opportunity for the team to spend some big money on free agents to plug some crucial holes without having to kill the salary cap because of so many guys are on rookie contracts. So let's see what they do. But until then, I'm going to take a sip of coffee and tell you guys thanks for a fun season. Go Pack Go. Green and cold till dead and cold. And I believe in Jordan Love. I believe in this team. Let's bring Lombardi back home next year. Bye.
Go Pack Go indeed, Jared. Thank you so much for the kind voicemail. Appreciate it. I know he had a lengthy voicemail there, but my favorite thing that he said was at the very beginning when he said that this is the least heartbroken he's been after a playoff game in ages. That just kind of sums up everything. It is. I'm not like distraught. I'm not angry. I'm not super depressed. I'm a little bummed, yes, but I'm still really looking forward to the championship games in the Super Bowl. In the past, I've been like, oh yeah, I'll go watch the commercials. You know what I mean? But I'm still invested, and so I'm really stoked, and I really love that his comments there was great. He also echoed my thoughts that, San Francisco is a team that caught the interceptions and our defense didn't. So many opportunities. I mean, the one that I think it was Nixon that lost, that wound up, they didn't score on that drive. And we did once we got the ball back. So that may not have affected the score. It may have given us a little more time at the end. Although if Love threw an interception at the end, we wouldn't have had any time anyway. But, yeah, it was. We're on the same page there, Jared.
And great outlook, Jared, on the team's financial situation. I can't even, off the top of my head, think of what holes we have on the team to fill. So I think we're in a great spot. He also added a PS that Barry's soft zone defense on the Niners' final drive was another factor in this loss, which is a shame because the defense did great holding this stout Niners offense to under 20 points all game. And then Barry decided to go back to old habits.
I just don't get it. I really don't. Is he just hoping it's going to work one of these times?
Was it the players? We don't know.
You know what's interesting is everybody, wants to blame Anders Carlson. Everybody wants to blame Joe Barry. Nobody is blaming Love for throwing that last pass into triple coverage. Who was he throwing that to? He was trying to thread the needle. We just needed 25 yards to get in field goal range to tie the game. I think that loss falls a lot more on his shoulders than people are willing to do. And I'm not hating on the guy whatsoever, but it's just interesting to me that nobody's throwing a lot of shade his way because he has played so great these last few weeks.
Good point. I know that final drive we only had, 60 or 70 seconds. The time was ticking by fast, and I know they've been in some last-minute game situations throughout the season, but in a playoff game of this magnitude, I bet that time just whizzes by faster, and they're probably thinking, we can't afford another missed field goal. Are we going to try just to tie? What if we miss that? And so, who knows? I'm going to file that also under woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Hey, Wayne. This is Rick from Wisconsin calling. I have a few thoughts about the game yesterday watching. I thought that it started as quite a parallel to the Cowboys game with the Packers getting the ball first and scoring, even though it wasn't a touchdown, and then being able to force San Francisco to punt on their first drive. I think the mistake of the game was going for it on the fourth down on their second drive. I think they should have just kicked the field goal right then. I know there was a field goal they missed later, and either one of those things could have gotten them to overtime or gotten them the win. The rest of the game, I didn't really see a lot of things that I think they did wrong. Just that San Francisco was a pretty tough team, and their defense was pretty stout, when they got down by the goal line. I think for the season, Green Bay can be pretty optimistic about the future. Every team wants to get to the Super Bowl, but only one team wins it each year. So getting to the playoffs with the youngest team in the league and accomplishing what they did, I think it bodes well for next year, especially when you look at some of the key players that were only drafted in the last, this draft or the draft before, give them a couple more years to develop. And I really think they've got a team that can be a real threat next year. So, I'll miss your guys' voices until next season and Go Pack Go there.
We got the Go Pack Go from Rick in Wisconsin. Thank you so much for calling in. And yes, optimism is the name of the game all off season long. And he thinks the mistake of the game might have been when we went for it on fourth down early on. And I can't argue with that.
That would have been 3 points. That would have, it's hard to argue with that. I think that's what's really cool about all these voicemails and all these comments, though, is everybody is just so optimistic, which I know it sounds weird to be optimistic for being knocked out of the playoffs, but there's so much potential with this team. And I just, I just love being a Packer fan, man. I genuinely love being a Packer fan because, you and I both know that we've been fans since before the Packers had their awesome 3-decade run, right? And we really thought we were due, but we still kept the faith. We still believed, and all these people still did. And it's just been such a positive experience. And I just love meeting Packers fans and conversing with them here on the show.
Amen to that, Scott.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of, we got not a voicemail, but an email from Megan. Wayne wants me to do this in my Megan style. That's not. I can't. Maybe at the end. I can't. Okay. I can't do a great Megan impression. But she says, "I don't even know where to start. This has to be an email because it's 11 p.m. and I'm writing this from a patio in Guatemala, and I've already been warned to be quieter. So I'll start with a Go Pack Go." What a hell of an end to a growing season that was predicted to be far less than what it was. It truly was a season of growth, but it just happened so quickly and right in front of our eyes over the past few months. Truly impressed by the guys putting in the dirty work week after week, win or lose. Can I nominate Jordan Love to be Most Improved Player of the Year? I know he'll kick himself for those picks, but stepping back and looking at this season big picture is just incredible. The sky is the absolute limit. I could list player after player who stepped up and showed out this season. Obvious credit to Jonesy for his huge production the last 5 weeks specifically. So many young guys were reliable when we needed them. Kraft, Reed, Wicks. Our O-line deserves 6 standing ovations for their protection of Love and support of the run, especially the last couple months. Defensively, we had guys really step up to the plate and proved we have significant and important depth when it matters. I could go on forever, and I'm going to only talk about the positives here. I believe in this squad, the coaching, and the future of the green and gold, particular the near future. An absolute force to be reckoned with. I hope they are proud of themselves. I sure as hell didn't see them making the playoffs, let alone the second round. Here's to the next season, boys. Green and gold till I'm dead and cold. And thanks for an amazing podcast. Oh, and this is Megan. Go Pack Go!
Oh, that's gold. That is absolute gold, Megan. Thank you for sending that in. You're out on the patio in Guatemala, 11 p.m., sending us emails. Thank you so much. Can't believe somebody told you to be a little quieter. That must be one loud keyboard. Actually, the email came in like almost immediately after the game, so I think there may have been some loud shenanigans during the game.
Probably, yeah.
So good. And CCR in Wisconsin says so many blown opportunities. Our defense sucked like it has been, but great season. Interesting.
That might be the shortest email we got from CCR this season. That's hilarious. You guys, your calls, emails, comments, and support are the highlight to the Packers Fan Podcast. Thank you for all of the feedback all season. Remember to be part of the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community, even in the offseason, guys, and be part of the conversations at packerscommunity.com. We do try to keep that up with any relevant news or fun tidbits. And it is time, Wayne, for the reckoning, our 2023 season wager o' fun. Last week's predictions, I predicted Green Bay winning 35-27. You predicted Green Bay winning 31-29. Neither of those mattered because the Packers unfortunately lost by a score of 24-21. So no dice for us. But we do have last game of the season went to somebody that has not picked one the closest this year, which is Josh Steima. He predicted San Francisco 30, Green Bay 18, which was a differential of 9. So that actually puts him on the leaderboard. A three-way tie between him, Brett Connor, and Travis Baker. They each had 1 win each. In second place, we got a two-way tie between Dan Dyler and Jay Walters. They each had 3 wins. But man, the commanding lead and first place winner goes to Mr. David Newman, who had 6 wins all season long, which is impressive for a number of reasons. Because, Wayne, you had 5 wins, but you only had to compete against me. David had 6 wins, and he had to compete against all of the listeners. So special kudos to him. That man knows his football, and it's pretty great.
Yes, congratulations. Absolutely, congratulations, David. Well done. 6 wins. That's going to be tough to beat.
That's got to be a record. I don't think that will be beat. But so the standings for Wayne and I to finish out the season, Wayne, like I mentioned, had 5 wins, and I came out with 8 wins this season.
How'd you do it?
That feels pretty good, man. That feels pretty good, man. So that means we're going to play some Madden, and you're going to play as the good old Chicago Bears while I'm playing the Packers. That's going to be...
This hurts. This hurts.
So everybody stay tuned to the social media outlets. We will have a link. We're going to have to figure it out because I know Wayne doesn't have an Xbox. I assume he's going to have to use his sons or his grandsons or something. And we're going to have to get a camera and figure out how we can get you hooked up on Twitch, and so the two of us can play a game together. We'll have to monkey around with that a little bit, but I am looking forward to that. And not just to rub it in. I think it'll just be like a really fun thing to do, Wayne. And I'm glad to finally get a W.
Yes, well deserved. Congratulations, Scott. And we need to make sure, although I am going to try hard because I like to win, we need to make sure that the Bears do not win this Madden matchup. All right.
Well, I'll do my best. I'm not the world's greatest. What I'll do is I'll just have my buddy Chris come over and I'll hold the controller on the screen while he's actually shadow puppet in the background playing the game while I'm acting like I'm playing.
That should be our competition next season.
So that's going to be fun. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. We'll definitely put that on the calendar. It won't be just like, hey, we're doing this right now. I think we need to actually create an event, Wayne, so that people can actually mark it on their Facebook calendars, and we'll have a Twitch stream. If you guys are familiar with Twitch, you can basically watch us play the game, and then there'll be a picture-in-picture of us playing the game together, or maybe we can do it through StreamYard. I'm not sure. We're going to figure out a solution, and we'll make it happen. That'll be a lot of fun. So, and maybe we can do it again next year.
I'm already twitching just thinking of the potential of needing to play as the Bears. Can I have Jay Cutler as my quarterback?
I mean, if we play an older version of Madden, sure. But
I don't know how this works.
I'm going to kind of go on a limb and just assume that it's going to be a more recent version of Madden. But well, we're wrapping up here, dude. But we got a couple things to talk about. Obviously, there's still football left in the season. I did not watch all of the Baltimore game, but that was I got to see the first half. And I was sitting at the bar watching the first half, and they went into halftime 10-10. I'm like, man, this is a good game. This is going to be a great game. And then I went into the concert and checked the score off of somebody's phone and saw that it was just Baltimore just turned it up. So
yeah, the second half was all Baltimore.
Yeah.
So maybe the Ravens were rusty after their bye week, but they shook the rust off in the second half for sure.
Absolutely. And I did watch the Chiefs-Bills game. That was an exciting game. Wow, that was a great playoff game. That is why you watch playoff football. Just so many crazy things happened, but the one standout was Kansas City was looking like they were about to score and fumbled the ball at the 1-yard line, and it rolled into the end zone for a touchback, which gave the Bills a huge break. I really thought they were going to capitalize on it. And I guess there's some controversy over that call because, man, I would not have wanted to have been a ref to make that call on that, whether he fumbled or he was down. It was so close. But sadly, we couldn't even get an overtime matchup thanks to that interception. But man, I really would have liked to have seen that happen. So,
and they had the game on at my son's place. We were watching. We were there for my granddaughter's 5th birthday party. Lots of princess gifts and stuff, and little kids everywhere. But the game was on. Keeping an eye on that. And some of us that after a while we started to be more focused on the game because the kids were out playing. Every time that Travis Kelce caught the ball or got a touchdown or something, we started going, okay, 7, 6, 5, 4. Oh, there it is. There's Taylor Swift. Right on schedule every single time.
It's not just him. It was his brother back there shirtless with a stocking cap on too, right?
Shenanigans, I tell you. And
it's pretty funny.
A point from the Ravens-Texans game. Sure, the Texans only lasted really the first half, but they are so young, much like the Packers, especially at their quarterback and a couple other positions, and they almost made it to the divisional round as well. The Texans could be a force to be reckoned with in upcoming seasons on the AFC side of things. So a Packers-Texans Super Bowl is actually not out of the question.
Yeah.
Maybe not next
buy that
year.
For $1.
It'll be Packers versus somebody else next year, but we shall see. But I do want to send out thanks to each and every one of you wonderful people for joining in on the podcast all during this wild 13th season of the Packers Fan Podcast, all the discussions and everything. And Scott, thank you for hosting the show with me again this year. So many great moments and memories. Want to do it again next year? The 14th season of the PFP could be the year the Pack becomes the 14-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. Coincidence? Destiny? Join in and find out?
Absolutely. I'm going to be here, man. I can't miss out on next season because next season feels like it's going to be wild. I'm going to be paying so much more attention to the offseason and pregame and the draft and everything. I'm so invested. I can't wait to see it. So,
all right,
yeah, thanks to everybody that's tuned in each week. I really appreciate it. And it's so nice hearing the nice comments from everybody and the voicemails and the emails and, the comments on Facebook. We really do appreciate it. Wayne does most of the legwork on the show. I just show up and and spit some words. So I really appreciate Wayne for doing all the editing. I don't have to do that, but I don't even have to do editing on my own show in a way. And I got a producer for that. And speaking of, my other podcast, The Gaming Outsider, releases a new episode every week. And this past week, we talked about a pretty interesting topic. There's a latest trend in gaming where you can actually pay a few extra bucks for a new video game to get it a few days earlier than everybody else. So we have some wildly different opinions on that business model. So you want to check that out. We also talked about the newest Prince of Persia game, which my co-host Zach and I are absolutely loving. This game is so great. I hope you check out the show. If you're looking for something else to listen to fill that gap of no Packers season for the next 232 days, you can check out my show, the same places to listen to this one, or at my website, thegamingoutsider.com.
Did you say thegamingoutsider.com?
Some say thegamingoutsider.com, but yes, Wayne, I do say thegamingoutsider.com.
We know where to find it. And our buddy Angel Martinez asked me to join him for a brief segment on his Martinez and Company YouTube show. Might also be a podcast, but I think it's mostly YouTube. Angel and his co-host Rich and I had a great time talking about the state of the Packers before we lost the game the other day. He's hoping to coordinate having both of us on again sometime soon, but special thanks and a shout out to Angel for the invite and his embarrassingly strong, kind words about the Packers Fan Podcast. Thank you, Angel. That is very much appreciated. I will have the link in the show notes to this episode if you want to check that out and go back in time to when the Packers still had the NFC Championship game in their future.
With much gratitude, we send hearty Go Pack Goes to this month's Packers Fan Podcast patrons. If you'd like to support the show as well, details are at packersfanpodcast.com/give back. Jay Walters, thank you, and Go Pack Go to you, sir, for your AR12 level support. Dan Dowler supports the show at the Jordan Love level. That also warrants a Go Pack Go and a thank you.
And we also want to recognize these fine Brett Favre level patrons. Go Pack Goes and thank yous to Scott Bors, Miguel Ramirez from the Opposite Attract podcast, Colin Nolan from Ireland, and Megan. And coming in at the classy Curly Lambeau support level, many thanks and Go Pack Goes for Brett Connor, Joe Christensen, and Hank Davis from the TPE network of podcasts. Again, if interested in joining in, check out the details. PackersFanPodcast.com/giveback. And as a reminder, the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast is not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers, not even affiliated yet with Culver's. But please tell your friends. You're still thinking about those Butterburgers. Please tell your friends about the Packers Fan Podcast, and thank you.
If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at PackersFanPod. Or if you'd like to follow me personally, my handle is at GoCastScott. And my website, or excuse me, my podcast handle is at the GoCast, and Wayne's personal handle is at Wayne Henderson. We'd love it if you give us a follow. So to wrap up the season, here's PFP community members Megan, Dan Dialer, Joe Christensen, and Andre with their Go Pack Go outro to send us on to the offseason on a high note.
Go Pack Go!
Go Pack Go!
Go Pack Go!
Go, 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 Pack Go!